Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to Next.js, a powerful framework for building modern websites and web applications. If you have been following this channel, you know that we have created a lot of projects using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now here's the question, if we can build everything with plain JavaScript, why do we even need something like React or Next.js? Now that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. So let's get started. Alright, let's first look at plain JavaScript. We can definitely build small websites with it, update the DOM, add click events, fetch data from API, and all of that is possible. But when the project becomes bigger, you start facing some problems. First, reusability. You often have to copy and paste the same code for similar parts of your UI. And then we have state management. If one piece of data changes and you need to update multiple places in the UI, things can get messy. And as far as routing is concerned, creating multiple pages and linking them together without refreshing the whole page is not simple to do with Vanilla.js. And then we have performance and SEO. So JavaScript heavy websites can be slower and harder for search engines to understand. So yes, you can do everything in JavaScript, but as the app grows, maintaining it becomes a nightmare. Here's an example of Vanilla.js, and this is how we build a simple counter application. So here when we click on the button, we need to increment the counter by 1. And this is the code for it in Vanilla.js. Now this is the exact same code in React.js. So here we can see that we have this state and we can update the state in the button, and it becomes much more easier to write when we have a large application. So that's where React comes in. React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces using components. A component is basically a small reusable piece of your UI. For example, a button could be a component, a header could be a component. You can reuse them anywhere and pass in different data. React also uses something called the virtual DOM, which makes updates faster and more efficient. So React makes it much easier to build and manage UI for big applications. However, React only handles the UI part. You still need to figure out how to handle routing between pages, how to improve SEO for better search ranking, how to render pages quickly for the first visitor, and how to optimize images, handle backend API routes, and prepare your application for production. So that's where Next.js comes in. Next.js is basically a full-stack React framework for building modern web applications. With the latest app router in Next.js 15, you get server-first capabilities and advanced features built in without having to set up a bunch of tools manually. Here are some things Next.js 15 gives you out of the box. First is file-based routing with the app directory. Just create a folder inside the app directory like app/about, and then just create a file called page.tsx, and it becomes a route. So that's how simple it is to add routing in Next.js. And then we have server components by default. So it renders UI on the server for faster loads and less JavaScript is sent to the browser. And then we have built-in API routes. So we can add backend logic with the app API directory, and no extra server setup is needed. And then we also have image optimization with the image tag. So it automatically optimizes the image with lazy loading. And then we have automatic code splitting in Next.js. So it only loads the code needed for the current route. And there are a lot of other features in Next.js as well. So you can just go to the official website and take a look at all of them. Now let's see when to use Next.js. So Next.js 15 is perfect for blogs and portfolio websites. You can also build e-commerce stores with it. You can also build dashboards and SaaS applications, and any site where SEO, performance, and scalability matter. For a very small one-page site, plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript might still be fine. But if you want to build something modern, scalable, and production-ready, Next.js 15 with the app router is the way to go. Now, a basic Next.js project using the app router has the following structure. It has the app directory where we have the routes and layouts. So each folder is basically a route, and it must contain a page.tsx file or a page.jsx file. And in the app directory, you will have a layout file where we can have shared layout for the entire app. And then you can add all the API routes for backend functionality inside the API directory. And then there is a public directory where we can store static assets like images and icons. And then we can store all the reusable UI elements inside a components directory. So this is a commonly used folder structure for Next.js projects. Now you can choose how your route is rendered. By default, everything is rendered on the server for performance. So this is the default behavior. And then we have client components. So you can simply use this line of code use client at the top of the file for interactive UI that runs in the browser. And then we have static site generation, which is pre-rendering all the pages at the build time. And then we have server-side rendering, which fetches data on each request with async server components or fetch calls. So to sum it up, JavaScript is the foundation. React helps you build better UIs. And Next.js adds all the extra features you need to build modern production-ready websites. Now in the next videos, we'll actually start building projects using Next.js so you can see all these features in action. So if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments below. And if you find this video helpful, please click on the like button and subscribe to get notified of the new videos. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.